Hello and welcome back to step-by-step-guitar-tuition.com. This is the third lesson in the Step 4 module. In this lesson I'll be teaching you how to play a 1-octave dominant 7th arpeggio. In the first three steps we looked at major and minor arpeggios, and I explained that an arpeggio is the notes of a chord played in succession. Also I explained that the three notes of a major arpeggio are the first, third and fifth intervals of the major scale, and that the three notes of a minor arpeggio are the first, third and fifth intervals of the minor scale. The dominant 7th arpeggio that I'm going to show you in this lesson is the same as a major arpeggio but with one extra interval, and that interval is called a flattened 7th. This means that we need to find the 7th interval of the major scale and flatten it one step. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to go up the major scale till I find the 7th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the 7th note of the major scale and it's called the major 7th. To play the flattened 7th, all I do is move that note back a fret. I'll show you that again. So the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the 7th note. To play the flattened 7th, just move that back one fret. And what we need to do to play a dominant 7th arpeggio is we need to add that flattened 7th to the major arpeggio. You'll find an explanation of that in your lesson notes and also tab and diagrams which will help you understand more clearly. So now that you understand how to find the flattened 7th interval, let's add it to the major arpeggio that we learned in step 1. If you remember, the major arpeggio goes root, major 3rd, perfect 5th and octave. Now we're going to add the flattened 7th to that. Root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, flattened 7th and octave. And back down. Root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, flattened 7th. I usually play that with my first finger. And then the octave with my 3rd. And back down. So that's how you play dominant 7th arpeggio over 1 octave. In step 3, lesson 3, I explained about how you can move scale and arpeggio patterns up and down the fingerboard to play in different keys. Let's try it with this dominant 7th pattern. If you move up the fingerboard 2 frets so that your second finger is over the 7th fret and play the same pattern, the arpeggio is now called the B dominant 7th arpeggio. That's because it takes its name from the 7th fret, which is the note B. Now move up the fingerboard another fret to the 8th and play the same pattern again. That's the C dominant 7th arpeggio, taking its name from the 8th fret. If you move up another 2, starting from the 10th, play the same pattern. Root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, minor 7th octave. That's the D dominant 7th arpeggio, taking its name from the 10th fret. And if we move up another 2 to the 12th, where your 2 dots are, that's the note E. If you play the same pattern, we've got the E dominant 7th arpeggio. And then if we go down to the 3rd fret, 1, 2, 3, second finger, that's the note G, and play the same pattern again. That's the G dominant 7th arpeggio. So I'll go through all of them again, starting at the 5th fret, A dominant 7 arpeggio. At the 7th fret, a B dominant 7th arpeggio. At the 8th fret, C. At the 10th fret, D dominant 7. At the 12th fret, E dominant 7. And down at the 3rd fret, G dominant 7. As part of your practice routine, try associating the dominant 7th arpeggios with the dominant 7th chords that you learned at the beginning of this module. Remember those chords? A7, B7, C7, D7, E7 and G7. If you play the first chord, A7, and then play the A7 arpeggio, and then play the B7 chord, and Under B7 arpeggio at the 7th fret. C7 arpeggio, sorry, the C7 chord. And then at the 8th fret, play the C7 arpeggio. D7 chord. At the 10th, play the D7 arpeggio. The E7 chord. And then at the 12th, play the E7 arpeggio. And then lastly, the G7 chord. Or you could play that with that pattern. And then play the G7 arpeggio. Don't forget to pluck alternate down and up strokes, and also try 2 plucks per beat with your metronome, and 3 plucks per beat, and 4 plucks per beat. And practice them as many times as you can in all those different positions, and that way you'll learn to associate the chords with the arpeggios. Okay, so that's 1 octave dominant 7th arpeggios. It's important for any musician to master a wide range of scales and arpeggios, as they not only develop your coordination and dexterity, but perhaps more importantly, they'll help you to understand the theory of music and unlock the guitar fingerboard, which in turn will give you much more freedom to play and create music. Arpeggios are especially useful for playing guitar solos, as they give you the ability to select the right notes that will harmonise much more melodically with the chords that you're playing over. I look forward to seeing you in lesson 4, where I'll be showing you how to play some chord sequences using the major, minor and dominant 7th chords that you've learnt so far, and also we'll be looking at different time signatures. I'll see you then.